Welcome to the Microlife Cafe. I'm your host, Sarah from Microlife Fertilizers. We're talking all things organic horticulture and beyond, so pull up a chair and pour up a cup with us. This week, we're joined by a native Houstonian and local horticulturist with deep roots in the retail nursery, greenhouse grower, and landscape industry. After years of witnessing the overuse of chemical sprays, she's made it her mission to champion a better way, one centered on organic, sustainable landscapes and a soil-first philosophy. Tune in as we dig into her current work bringing native and adapted plants to local landscapes, the role of edibles in the garden design, and slow compilation for an eventual book on local weeds. Hi, T. Thank you so much for coming in today. We are honored to have you. Can you share with everyone a little bit about yourself and how has your experience shaped your passion for working with the soil?
Okay, so a little bit about me. I am a native Houstonian. I did grow up growing a goodly amount of my own food because, well, we were poor and we grew a lot of food where I grew up. For a family of 5, sometimes an extra grandparent, and of course, animals. We always had animals. If you wanted turkey dinner, you started in March with a little turk and, you just grew it.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's incredible.
Yeah, so I grew up always growing things, but it was because I had to, because I was prevailed upon to, and not because I necessarily wanted to, because kids would rather be playing instead of working and growing, and Scooby-Doo cartoons are way more fun than toiling in the soil. But anyway, having worked outside, I was uniquely qualified whenever it came time to get first high school jobs. My first job was cutting grass. I used to cut about an acre of grass with a push, not self-propelled lawnmower. And so you learn work ethic real darn quick. And then also retail nursery work. I mean, I think everybody at one point or another worked at the mall, and that was like the cool thing to do. But whenever the mall doesn't hire you, outdoor work in a retail nursery certainly will hire you if you can hold a water hose. So I did that for a little bit. Went from one nursery to another because they changed hands. From that nursery to another because they paid more. But all the while I was doing nursery work, I would always do like landscaping jobs on the side to make a little bit more money. And then I'm like, well, why am I doing landscaping jobs on the side? Why not just go do landscaping? And so that's how I got into landscaping.
That's awesome. I love that. The entrepreneurial experience is a really fun, wild ride. So
Mhm.
I love that for you.
Mhm.
So, how has all of these experiences shaped the way you look at and your passion for working with the soil?
So whenever I was growing up, we made a lot of our own soil. We had a compost bin, and it was a bin because it was made with corrugated tin and 2x4s because that's what was available back in the 70s. But it anything that we used, we always put it in there. So if we raked leaves in the fall, it went in the compost bin. If we peeled potatoes for dinner, it went in the compost bin. We didn't really bag grass because you didn't do that back in the 70s. You just, cut the grass and got on about it. But after that stuff sat there and melded together for a little while and it rained, then you could plunge hands into it and you would see that there were little creature features in there and roly-polies and hopefully not ants, but there was life in there, and it was fun playing every now and again. But that's what my father would put on our vegetable garden. And for context, I'm sitting here in Microlife, and our vegetable garden was bigger than y'all's warehouse. So we
Whoa.
grew some vegetables. Yep.
That is serious
Mm-hmm.
growing. I love that.
Yep.
A soil forward approach leads to a healthy, more sustainable landscape. I think we are all true believers of that.
Mm-hmm.
Can you explain what that means and why is it so impactful?
So soil forward to me means doing what you are able to produce more soil and to not take away from the soil. A lot of times in Houston landscapes, you'll see people blowing the soil clean of oak leaves in the spring whenever all the live oaks shed, or blowing it clean of, well, different types of leaves in the fall whenever all the fall leaves shed. It's not meant to be that way. Leaves are nature's blanket. The very tree feeds itself if you just leave the leaf litter in place to act as leaf mulch, which eventually turns into leaf mold compost, which is like black gold.
And after years of retail in the retail and wholesale nursery work, you've witnessed the heavy use of sprays.
Oh, yeah.
That is something we discuss extensively.
Mhm.
What motivated you to seek a better way to care for plants and the ecosystem as a whole?
So, having been the girl who would take turns with the other girls and guys at a local nursery that I used to work for, every week somebody had to go and spray the crepe myrtles, spray the roses. They had pest issues, just the normal things, whitefly, aphids, mealybugs, spider mites, whatever it was. So somebody was always tasked with spraying after hours. But back in the late 80s, it wasn't, this is your task after hours because all the customers are gone. We don't want to stink up the place with our customers there. Nobody handed anybody any PPE. Nobody said, put on your mask, put on these gloves, put on goggles, and go spray the stuff. There was fuming clouds of orthene and isotox and funginex and all the bad things, and never any PPE. So the stuff would stink to high heaven. That particular nursery had, a chemical section, and they called it the chemical section. Beyond that, it smelled bad. Stuff that's good for the plants shouldn't smell bad.
Agreed.
I think. So having been exposed to that, but then also getting some historical background knowledge of some of the stuff that we were spraying years after the fact. It's like some of that stuff was derivatives of, DDT. It's like if that was outlawed in the 50s, why is there still evidence of DDT and samples of breast milk in mothers in 2026? That stuff is persistent. That's that's bad.
Great question. I
Yeah.
think we're all wondering the same thing,
Yeah.
honestly. So, as an experienced professional
Mhm.
horticulturist, why do you choose organic products?
Because it's better for everything and it's better for everybody. So, if I use something organic to control weeds, I'll use vinegar for an example, because where I work, we use vinegar for weed control, cracks in the sidewalk, driveway, whatever. Vinegar is acetic acid. It's not gonna go any farther than that. There's no movement in the soil. You burn it down and it's burned.
Yeah.
It's not like, a Roundup or a glyphosate-based product where it is persistent and you don't need any PPE to spray vinegar. I mean, sure it'll smell extra vinegary, but there's nothing that you need to do in addition to protect yourself other than don't splash it on you.
Sometimes I use vinegar to clean my kitchen sink, folks, so it is a safe
Well,
product.
and you can also use vinegar for, like, a laundry additive. If you wanna whiten your whites, vinegar will do that.
Oh my gosh.
All the old
Great tip.
all the old ones used to do that. Same thing for, like, if you wanna control, we'll just say, roaches, ants. What did everybody's grandparents, great-grandparents use? They always had boric acid. They would mix it with a little sugar, a little powdered sugar, so there was an attractant. It's like, "Hey, party over here." They take it back to their nest, "Hey, death over there." But boric acid is naturally occurring. There's no reason to wear anything additional. I mean, I wouldn't say eat it, but you don't have to be concerned that, "Hey, I just nuked my entire family with, a neurotoxin, a cholinesterase inhibitor that makes the little roaches do like this, and flop them on their back
Yeah,
whenever you spray them. They're writhing in pain because their synapses are not firing. Same thing happens to us. Yeah.
completely agree. You are currently building a plant list for Harris County native plants,
Mhm.
not just Texas natives. Why is hyperlocal native plant selection important for sustainability as a whole?
Okay. This is a personal interest product. I'm not like building it for the masses, but I want to be able to especially answer clients whenever they have a pollinator garden that they want to build or they have a vegetable garden that they want to build. A lot more people are doing companion planting. biodiverse plantings. I'll use like a wine vineyard as an example.
Hmm.
Whenever I was living up north of Baltimore, there was a wine vineyard up there where the norm is to have everything scorched earth and you just have grapes on a trellis.
Yeah.
This one particular place was seeding in wildflowers and weeds to attract the pollinators they wanted for their crop. And it was whenever they started having that biodiversity in their orchard that they started winning awards for their wines. So
That
the
is
weeds could help.
so
Yeah.
cool. And
Mhm.
that is one thing, we've learned too is there are a lot of pesticides sprayed classically with
Mhm.
vineyard care. So that is really amazing that biology just proved its
Yeah.
worth.
And I mean that's same for here. I know a lot of like school gardens have like little habitat gardens, or they want to attract the pollinators so they can teach the kids the biology about the butterflies. And you would have some folks think that any butterfly plant is a good butterfly plant. Any host plant of a milkweed is a good milkweed. But there are others who would say that, hey, that might cause a pause in the migration if there's something that stays green or persists and they don't get the signal, hey, you need to hightail it down to good old Mexico for the winter instead of hanging out in Houston.
Oh, wow.
So some posit that that could be an interruption for some of our pollinators.
That is great
Mm.
to know. I did not know that.
Yep.
So, weeds get a really bad reputation, but your upcoming book suggests that there's more to the story. How does understanding them help gardeners and landscapers work with nature rather than against it?
So every plant was weed somewhere.
Hmm.
A weed is just a plant in somewhere where you don't want. So you could have an entire field of alfalfa hay and a rose bush in the middle, and the
Hmm.
rose bush would be the weed because you're trying to grow alfalfa. But if you talk to a florist, a whole field of alfalfa would be a weed, and the rose would be the desired thing. So
Mind blown by
yeah.
how you just described
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So I mean, both of those are important. It's just, what are you dedicating, your space to? Because all landscapes are pretty much contrived. If we have a hand in it, it's contrived. If we don't have any hand in it, then it's, a natural space. But a lot of the things that would normally be labeled on the back of a weed killer, it sure that herbicide will kill that weed, but like horse herb, that's a common weed, ubiquitous throughout Harris County and a goodly portion of Texas.
Hmm.
It has a beautiful little yellow flower about
Yeah.
the size of a pencil eraser, but it's edible. Chickweed. Oh my gosh, chickweed. That's also edible. But chickweed also tells you, hey, this soil is friable, it's fertile, and you could grow darn near anything in that soil. Um, like clover, people want to treat for clover, and that's on the bag of any herbicide. But all parts of the little purple clovers that are native to here are completely edible. The flower's edible, the leaves are edible, even on down to the little root. I mean, it looks like a little clear carrot. That's edible, and you can treat it the same as a carrot in any stew you want to make.
Our go-to saying when it comes to clover is no clover, no rover. So let's protect our pets and do the organic way.
Yep.
So, incorporating our edibles into our landscapes is a growing trend. You clearly are very experienced with that, with your massive food operation you guys had growing up. What are some easy to implement ways to blend ornamentals and food producing plants in a sustainable way in somebody's garden?
So I'd like to go to easy things first. I know rosemary is popular and typically available year round. I've seen people use rosemary at like Christmas time, decorate it. Looks like a little Christmas
Yeah.
tree, nice little fun shape. But rosemary can also be hedged successfully, and rosemary oil is incorporated into a lot of organic insecticides, so like flea killers, ant killers, mosquito abatement. I mean, rosemary has its merits. And besides that, if you're out working in it and you rustle in it, it's kind of fun and it smells good.
You know what else rosemary does? It helps your hair grow.
Okay.
Rosemary oil, for the
All right.
record.
Good
Sorry.
good to know. All right. I did not know about the rosemary oil making your hair grow, but there's a lot of other good plants. Rosemary is one example. One plant that I see a lot in Houston that I don't necessarily like is Indian hawthorn.
Okay.
There's nothing fantastic to me about Indian hawthorns. It's green, it gets a flower, it gets a berry. It's like if you're gonna plant something green that gets a flower that gets a berry, then why not plant like a blueberry bush?
Yeah.
Blueberry bushes are pretty, and they flower, and they get a berry, and they taste darn good.
Yeah.
You know, and there are tall ones, short ones, little miniature ones. So there's blueberries that can go pretty much for any application.
Do you think, and I'm just curious, do you think like homeowner associations would be cool with somebody having a blueberry bush instead of a classic shrub as long as it looks visually appealing?
I would say if they have any sense at all, the default answer has to be yes. And there are diseases that some classic, readily available shrubs get that there's no cure for. I'm gonna
Mhm.
go back to my Indian hawthorns or red tip photinias and a couple of others. They get spots on the leaves, and then the leaves fall off. And they fall off and they lay on the ground, and whenever the sprinkler comes on or we get a rain event or a blower tries to blow it out, it just spreads more spores to spread more disease, and there's
Right.
no magic pixie dust you can put on that leaf spot. So it's better to plant something that's, resistant to that, and then you're not out there spraying it or having to clean up after it, trying to cure it. Just plant something that it's is adaptable to there, and that'll
Abs-
give you fruit. Okay.
Absolutely. So, you're excited about passive pathology controls for insects and weeds. Can you share with everyone some of the methods slash what does that mean?
Mhm.
And how does this differ from traditional approaches for soil and plant problems?
Okay, so to me, something that can be done passively, well, like we're going into Houston summertime right now.
Sure,
So a
yeah.
lot of people spraying for mosquitoes.
Mm-hmm.
Memorial Day coming up, I'm sure there'll be barbecues and everything else. Instead of having to spray a lot for mosquitoes, in my estimation, it's easier to prevent places where mosquitoes can populate because mosquitoes need like one droplet of water and a female mosquito can lay her eggs. So if you
Wow.
have drains, I'm going to say old tires just because there's people regularly dumping places they shouldn't be. But if you can just kind of prevent her from being able to reach that stagnant water source, then you don't have her laying eggs. Or if you know that you want to enjoy your birds and you have your bird bath, typically mosquitoes won't lay eggs in moving water like they will in still water. You can go online and get little solar powered propellers that kind of keep the water moving. Or
Cool.
if you have an irrigation system, they actually have like little bird drippers and it'll keep like a constant drip, almost like a little leaky faucet. And as long as that little wake is coming from that drip, then there's moving water and the mosquitoes are not attracted and you can still enjoy your birds and your bird bath
Whoa.
without mosquitoes. There's also some unique insecticides or target pest insecticides that you can put in harborage areas like a bird bath or like a drain, and it won't hurt the birds, it won't hurt the frogs, it won't hurt the lizards or anything else that wants to be in there, including us. But it's like BT. We all know that we
Mhm.
use it on tomatoes to prevent those great big tomato hornworms, but certain strains of BT also prevent mosquito larvae from turning into a mosquito.
Oh, wow.
But even if a bird or a squirrel or whatever eats it, drinks it, whatever visits that reservoir of water, it doesn't poison them.
So, what is one soil health practice you wish every gardener or landscaper would adopt, and why is that?
I would say compost because compost is nature's creation. It's already perfect the way it is. It's just a natural process, a natural nutrient cycling that people don't realize that we're a part of.
Hmm.
So it's like whenever we take leaves away, we take away part of that nutrient cycle, and then we wonder why our plants don't look great. So if you just leave it alone and let it enrich the way it's supposed to, then your microorganisms are there, your macroorganisms are there. Some things need leaf litter to be able to reproduce and be the good guys out in the landscape over the season, but compost is the way that it's supposed to be. And compost makes everything feel better. So if it's compost in the soil, okay, great. But there are also folks who swear that compost tea is probably among the most nutritious and disease-fighting agents that we can put on our landscapes. So I would say compost and lots of it. And not all compost is created the same. Good quality compost, because some compost comes from like a chicken farm. Well, what do they do at chicken farms? They nuke them with arsenic depending on the farm. And we can tolerate some arsenic. It's naturally occurring in the environment, but too much is bad for us.
Yeah.
So I would say good quality natural compost.
Yeah. And I have been using this line lately. The planet and forests were able to take care of themselves
Mhm.
long before humans came on Earth.
Yes.
And I truly believe that your sentiment about compost is very relevant to that fact.
A lot of times I will refer to our local parks, especially Memorial Park, because a lot of our client base is concentrated here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever somebody says, "Why should I leave those leaves? Why should I let that pine straw stack up?" It's like, look, there is no irrigation system from the city of Houston drenching Memorial Park,
Mm-hmm.
but you can walk through Memorial Park and there's life everywhere. It's because they do their best to maintain areas that can be health or safety risks, but they leave the stuff alone whenever it doesn't need to be touched.
I just love Memorial Park.
Yep.
It's truly one of my favorite places
Yes,
in
it is.
Houston.
And there's talented people at that Houston Arboretum over there
Yeah.
that have a really good handle on native plant species.
Totally.
Yep.
So, what is a common misconception about organic fertilizers and soil health that you'd love to debunk for our listeners?
It's too expensive. That is not true. So, just literally this morning and within the last 24 hours, I met a new client, first time meeting. We walked through her yard and we talked about everything that was pathology related in her yard. But one thing that I saw overriding that pathology was there were a whole lot of hungry plants in her yard.
Mm-hmm.
There were some insect issues, there were some weed issues. And so, because she was receptive to it, I said, instead of spending money in this yard on PHC, plant health care, to spray stuff, because looking back through her historical yard care, there had been sprays for azaleas and sprays for brown patch on her lawn and sprays for whatever. And just looking at those sprays, it was obvious to me that a goodly portion of her budget for her yard was spent in a way that it wouldn't need to be spent if everything were just in optimal health. If everything were well nourished, well hydrated, the bugs wouldn't be attracted to the azaleas. If the azaleas have complex sugars in them,
Yeah.
we wouldn't be dumping a bunch of water on the grass if the grass were well nourished.
Sure.
If we core aerate it, make the roots plunge down into the soil, then they're going deep, and you don't have to water just like a little topical application of water to try to keep it on life support.
Yeah.
Like a sports surface or whatever.
Totally.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
So, how do you think local communities and gardening groups can support broader adoption of organic and sustainable practices?
I think just education more than anything, and having a little bit broader view on what constitutes a beautiful landscape. A lot of folks say it's the well clipped, well maintained, good little geometry on your shrubs or whatever, but I will argue that if you have a healthy organic landscape and you have a good amount of genetic diversity and you don't have bad bugs or imported weeds or bugs, anything like that in there, and everything's just kind of healthy and humming along, that's a beautiful landscape and you're part of it because you're walking through it. Versus
That's lovely.
what a lot of people don't realize that we are part of the environment, and doing something as simple as, I don't know, opting to be buried in a pine box instead of being preserved and put in a concrete box so that the worms can't get to you. I mean, it makes a difference. Your life made a difference because now there's worms that can get to you and kind of recycle everything that you were you were about.
Wow.
Sounds creepy, but we're part of our environment.
Totally.
Yeah.
I completely agree.
Be part of the food chain, right? Mhm.
Dee, thank you so much for coming in today. Is there
Uh,
anything else you feel like we're missing? And where can people get in touch with you? Because you are an encyclopedia of knowledge.
okay, thank you for the gratuitous compliment. If anybody needs to get in touch with me, the easiest way to do that is just to go to the Grow and Company website.
Okay.
There's little buttons that you can push to get in contact with or get a job at, for students who may want to intern with all of us to overlap. Let's see. If they just go to growandcotexas.com, there's options there. Our office telephone number is 713-781-3841, and they can either leave a message and kind of direct what they need help with. If they want to try to work better with their existing irrigation system, then they would be channeled to the irrigation guys. Or if they want somebody to come and look at what's going on with their landscape and recommend native alternatives to like a Japanese boxwood, then they'll channel that to the right person. If you're building a new house and you want to do like a complete, hey, let's do native, let's do adapted, let's do sustainable, they'll channel you to the design department. So there's a pretty good mix of folks there, and there's always more than one right answer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. Well,
Mhm.
thank you so much. We'll definitely be having you back in the future.
Oh, thanks, sir. I appreciate you.